Hey everybody, this is Chris Cosentino, and I am here with Yuri Hauswald, and we are going to talk a little bit today on cycling, life, why we like to suffer, why he likes to suffer more than anybody I think I've ever met, and, the bigger picture. So, Yuri, welcome to Losing Your Mind with Chris Cosentino.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm super stoked to be here. Rarefied company, obviously.
Oh, come on. This morning's ride was like Bluebird Day, gorgeous.
Yeah, Bluebird, emerald green, shag carpet out there of Sonoma County. Moore Creek, right, to Hennessy Reservoir.
Yeah.
Not too many people ride out there. A new trail that Curtis English showed us. So, it was awesome.
Super fun. So just to kind of give people like a bit of background, I mean, you and I have known each other on and off the bike for almost 20.
Probably close to 20, yeah.
So, and as of recent, well, I mean, you've been doing the big stuff for a while, right? And to clarify the big stuff in my mind, you won Dirty Kansas.
Correct.
And which year was that again?
2015.
Okay. Which, for folks out there who don't know what Dirty Kansas is, it's 200 miles in the middle of Kansas on gravel, gnarly roads. I think the year you raced was a mud bog, if I'm correct.
Muddiest conditions the race has ever had in its history, for sure. A lot of walking, running, cursing.
Which, to kind of tie back to the past 24 hours kind of gave you that, the 24-hour racing gave you that. So,
yeah.
And then just this past year, you did something that I think you entitled it the Big Dummy, right? Isn't that what you called it before you went and did it?
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, I did the DK XL, which was 350 miles, completely self-supported of Flint Hills gravel roads, and I was part of a crew of 34 folks who were brave, dumb, adventurous enough to heed the call, and we were the test dummies of sorts for this new event, which will in 2019. That you're the first to hear this. There's going to be near 100 folks who are doing the XL.
I will not be one of them.
But that is top secret info, but it's going to get out soon. But yeah, there's going to be near 100 folks who do that.
To me, that's just absolutely amazing. I mean, so let's kind of go back, and I want to kind of start at the beginning. So you and I met at Angwin racing single speeds.
Yep.
Back in the day, and it's kind of like what was my first foray into mountain bike racing in Northern California. And I showed up at Angwin, and it was you and Glenn Fant, and who else was on that crew? There was
I don't know.
There was a short dude who never buckled his helmet, who always just...
That might have been like Pee-wee or somebody
that was
like
Pee-wee.
that.
Yeah, that was what you guys called him.
Really loud, short, loud dude.
Short, loud dude. Super cool cat. And then...
maybe Bill Durkee. I don't know. There was a whole
the single speed crew then was... It was rippers.
Yeah, super fun.
It was like a super crazy time. And I remember showing up and like... You guys were a band, like you guys were a squad, and you guys would like rough me up hard.
God, I don't have the same memories, dude. But,
but it was such an interesting time because that's when single speeding was blossoming and really booming, and I found that
well, it also had come from a renegade background too. You'd had the orange jumpsuit crew who were jumping in with pie plate, paper plate numbers at Sea Otter and poaching stuff and kind of giving like this renegade feel to the single speeders. But I also feel like bringing legitimacy and proving that, we could be really fast too, and helped, probably legitimize the category when it wasn't being, bandited like they did. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So that was just a little side note.
So you went from racing single speeds, as we all did, but then you started doing 24 hours.
Yeah, I also did geared. I was racing geared cross country stuff. Started in the sport category. I didn't pick up a bike until I was 24. I played lacrosse in high school and college, so I wasn't a cyclist until later in life, which is probably a good thing. And then fell in love with racing and started in the sport category and stumbled my way through it. raced single speeds, and then discovered 24-hour racing on a dare from somebody.
I mean, to me, that 24-hour racing, well, and specifically, you were racing solo.
Correct. Yes.
Just like I was.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And I think that's a game changer. I think you really find out your mettle and who you really are, because it's more about, it's about equipment and thought process, and it's all about getting things. I'd like to attest it to being in the kitchen. It's all about mise en place, getting yourself ready prior, being structured and organized, having all your stuff laid out, and being ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And you, at that point, was this when you were a teacher?
Yeah, I was a school teacher. So right after I graduated from Berkeley in 1993, and I went back east and taught 2 years at a prep school back there, like This Boy's Life, kind of coat and tie, brick building, all boys school. I'm not even proud. I'm not proud to admit this, but Dickhead Donnie Jr. was a student at that school, so that gives you a sense of a little bit. Not to say that a lot of the kids were like that, but I had so many cool kids. But he was a student there when I was there. He was not in my class, but and then I taught elementary school for 11 years while I was working my way through the racing ranks. So I could travel during the summers. I lived out of my car. I followed the Norba circuit and would trade labor with those guys, with Frosty and Naked Man and those dudes, and trade labor for race entries. So I would help them set up and break down, and they would comp all my race entries. And then I would like roll with them to the next venue and do the same thing. So I did that for a couple summers, living out of the back of my Subaru. And it was just something I've always been a bit of a nomad, and I really loved it. And being a school teacher at that time allowed me to have the freedom during the summers to follow the Norba when the Norba existed. So it was really fun. And then
you had health insurance.
I did have health insurance. I had a good job. I could go travel for a couple months. And then I stepped out of the classroom about 8 years ago and stepped into the bike industry and haven't looked back since.
I mean, you've done, and now you're with GU.
Yep, I'm the community development and elite athlete manager for GU.
So, I mean,
and I've been a GU athlete for like 13 years.
So, I mean, you've been on both sides of the boards now.
Yep.
So you've been an athlete racing for GU. You're now helping the next generation of athletes get where they want to be.
Yep.
You work with such great, talented people. I mean,
so many amazing, inspiring folks. It's humbling, the athletes. And I'm getting to meet, now that I'm not just dealing with our cyclists, I'm dealing with our ultra runners, our world champion, triathletes, stuff like that. It's just awe-inspiring, the athletic, mental fortitude of these folks and the things that they accomplish. It's really fun. I
think for a lot of folks, they don't understand what you have given up to get where you want to be. And I think that's something for pretty much all athletes. You give up a lot to get where you want to be. I mean, you give up, for perfect example, like something so simple that people take for granted, dessert.
True.
A second portion at dinner.
I'm gonna cop to. I'm an eater. Let's be honest. For those viewers, that can't see me because this is a podcast, I'm not your typical cyclist. Like I'm like 185 pounds on a good day. I'm like 5'11", but and I eat. I like to eat. I burn a lot of calories. I like to eat. It's worked out so far. So
let's just break it down. Yuri's a brick shithouse. And if I'm in an alley and I'm in a fight, I want Yuri to come around the corner.
So to your point, I'm not, like
but that's
the typical
played to your
build.
Advantage.
It has. For endurance racing, it's been great. I've got an extra layer of blubber in there that I can tap into.
But even in single speeding, you had the physique.
Different more muscular.
Muscles. Yeah, you needed that power. And I think what you've done, and I think, and what you're doing now is pushing boundaries. You're not just racing anymore. You're doing adventures. You're riding in really beautiful places, point to point, unsupported, seeing things, sharing your experiences with people. You're writing for Peloton occasionally.
Yep.
You're doing a lot of informational stuff and sharing with the public the start, the middle, the ugly, the good, and the wonderful, right? Yeah. And I think that is what's missing. Like, we look at, and I'll use social media as a example. we see people and what do they post? Always the perfect things. But they don't, you never see somebody posting how to plunge the toilet today. That's life, right? Like, it's not hard. And I think it's disconnected people from reality. And I think the way you write and the way you explain things, and maybe that's because of your teaching background.
Oh, thanks.
You really get to understand how hard it was that day when you guys were riding in Oregon and you basically rode in the rain for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like, that's about as much fun as, walking on broken glass. You just don't, after a certain point, you just become numb.
Yeah.
But you're sharing those experiences with people, and so they realize it's not all roses. You have to really be willing to push forward and try harder.
And sometimes, unfortunately, suffer a little bit,
Suffering's a good feeling.
Yeah, suffering can be a good feeling. As long, I kind of, I'm not like sick or twisted or anything, but like as long as you're not like doing like any like lasting damage, right? Or like real physical harm. Like I think a little bit of suffering in our life, a little bit of discomfort is okay and good. It forces us to grow. And that's, if you think about it as like a muscle, right? Our muscles, when they're stressed, that's when then you recover. That's when they make the most gains. So you could almost look at, our bodies and dealing with suffering and racing, like the more that we're able to absorb and deal with, like you rest and come back from that. You just like keep, the way I've explained it, you just keep sort of redrawing what is physically and mentally possible for you. And that leads into like the DKXL that I did last year, the 350, like, and I say this with all humility, physically, I knew I could do it. It was mentally, I wasn't sure I was willing to go that extra 150 miles that I've never really gone before, and that was a place I wasn't sure I wanted to explore. But now that I've done it, like, I don't need to do it again, but I know I can, I know I can do it. You know what I mean? You just, you have a deeper belief in your physical and mental and emotional abilities.
Can you explain to people out there, like, you started at what time in the morning?
We started at 4 p.m. on Friday.
Okay. You started
in scorching Kansas summer heat, humidity like 100%. It was like 94 degrees, which is my Achilles heel because I've had heat stroke a few times. I've been put in the hospital. I have lots of IV bags in me because of heat related issues. And so I was, that scared the shit out of me starting in that. So we started at 4 p.m.
So so to make sure everybody understands, the regular Dirty Kansas, the Dirty Kansas 200 starts at
the next day at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, so normally the races start and it's cold in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? And people are starting pitch black. You're starting bright as day, hot as
balls. Sweaty.
As all get up.
Yep.
Okay. And so how does this play out for you? I mean, because I was watching.
I know my dot tracker did not work, and it
your
freaked
dot
people
tracker
out.
scared the
it stopped. I know,
scared the daylights out of me.
Scared a lot of people. Yeah.
And I was on it, like watching. Yeah. I was getting up in the middle of the night and watching. I'm like, where's Yuri? Where's Yuri? And so for folks out there, I mean, you guys all had safety beacons on you so people would know where you are. It's a tracker.
Yep.
And
a phone. I could text my wife. My wife was, we were connected. I can share like the whole story too. Like, to get through the heat, dude, I had a frozen Camelback base layer underneath everything, 100 liters completely ice block to help me navigate those first like 5 hours in the heat.
That's genius.
I've used it before. It's saved me. And I know it saved me at DKXL, and it was a vest, and I ripped it off and threw it away at the first aids because it had melted, and I drank all the water and I didn't need it anymore. But it had gotten me into a little bit cooler of a time, and I totally think that is one of the things that helped me succeed.
I think that's a perfect example of you learning to adapt to, like, your strengths, your weaknesses. How do you beat your weakness? And you figured out a really smart way to do it.
Well, yeah, it was helpful that, I've been a Camelback athlete for a long time. This is a shameless plug, but I actually helped them develop that vest. They no longer make it anymore, unfortunately.
I've got one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I have a stash thanks to somebody that works there in my garage. But it just shows that you can make these little hacks that'll help you, whether it's nutrition or with your hydration or whether it's with gear. Like everybody has their own little hacks that they do to help them get through, and that was something that helped me navigate the heat.
So what time did that heat dissipate? Was that like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, well, it really didn't go down until we got hit with like a gnarly prairie thunderstorm at like 2 or 3 in the morning. But it like got tolerable. So it went from like 94 to probably like mid 80s by like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but you still have the humidity. But there were some amazing fireflies out there too. We don't have fireflies out here, and it was like this light show that took my mind off of it. But the heat really didn't go down until we had that prairie thunderstorm that hit us.
And that's also to take into account, like you're schlepping all your own gear.
Yes.
So you have to you're starting hot, and it's going to
could get cold.
You could get a thunderstorm. You could get hail.
Yep, we did.
And you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
So how much, like talking about that process, like gearing, like packing your gear up, like how much do you carry? How much do you like want to schlep? Because weight is
huge.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah. So that's a really good question. I mean, everybody's different with what they carry. A lot of guys in the Midwest don't wear vests. They carry like extra bottles on their fork legs and stuff like that. I'm not really into that. So I wear a chase vest from Camelback because you can still get into your back pockets. And then I had 2 big bottles and then an Ortlieb top tube bag that Camelback, I had worked with them to make a custom 3-liter reservoir that went in there. And then we rigged a little system so it was magnetic on my bars. I was able to carry an extra 3 liters of water on my top tube, which is huge because one of the gaps between aids was 100 miles or just over 100 miles.
That's a long way.
And so, I mean, you're talking like at least 5 hours of ride time, and it came at night, which was good. It came during the hail and thunderstorm, which was brief but intense. So I limped in with no water after that 100 miles. But, so there's all sorts. So I was using an Ortlieb top tube bag, and then they have a saddle bag, and I went with their larger one, and I probably overstuffed it with too much sports nutrition. I was carrying a lot of single serve sachets of our drink mix, which is high calories, and that's where I was getting most of my calories, and then just getting water and ice, because when you would go through a town, you would hit Casey's, which is like their 7-Eleven, and that was your aid station. Run in, get some ice, get water, get whatever you needed. I didn't really buy much solid food. I had gels on me and chews and some bars and things like that. So I had a big saddle bag. Obviously lights, because we rode through the night. I had a light setup, Exposure lights, a brand out of UK, which was a super slick bomber all-in-one system that got me through the night, no problem. I had a backup exposure on my helmet and didn't even ever need to turn it on. So gear-wise, and this gets back to like my 24-hour solo days, I think I had my gear pretty dialed. I probably had 3 extra tubes, a bunch of CO2s, big boot, mud stick is key to scrape all the mud off your bike, because there was some gnarly mud stick is like a painter's stick to stir the paint. That's a mud stick in the Midwest. So you just take a painter's, stick and you keep it on you because you're having to scrape your brakes and wheels and stuff for mud. So mud stick is key when you come, because you're doing the dirty Kansas this year.
You just let the cat out.
I know, dude. You could edit that out.
Or
not.
That's what I
that actually fucking puts your feet to the fire, bro. Dirty Kansas, Chris Cosentino.
One of the things about this podcast is that I'm not editing anything. It's as it goes. And to me, I feel like when you start editing things, you're hiding something. I've got nothing to hide. You've got nothing to hide.
No.
And I think everybody that's going to be coming on the show, it's just, let's be honest. Let's have fun.
Totally.
And it's like, it's a really, really, this is about having a good time and having a conversation and kind of sharing your experiences with the world.
Totally. Happy to do it.
And I think, so you have put in all this time and effort and energy to get to that monster, to get that done. And I think watching it from afar, having mini panic attacks with your unfortunately, your beacon not working.
Not working.
And of course, I don't have Vanessa's number. So who am I texting in the middle of the night? I'm texting Terry. And poor Terry's like, dude, I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, is Yuri okay? And then I'm texting Pulford.
Yeah. Pulford probably didn't know either.
And poor Pulford's back, at that.
Adam's my coach, folks.
So he's the coach for Yuri. And who else is he coaching? Tetrick?
He probably coaches Ali. I don't know who else. Yeah.
He's the coach to a whole slew of chefs.
Yeah.
And Brian Voltaggio is one of them. Jeff Mahan.
Yeah, Mahan, yeah.
The fastest
chef in the world.
In the world.
Basically, I think. We just gave him that title, but he deserves it. Yeah,
he's like rip legs off. Super fast. So scary. But you start to, I'm panicking like, oh my God, is Yuri okay? Is Yuri okay? What's going on? And then I'm in the restaurant the next day, right? And it's like you're racing, whatever. And I keep checking and I'm like, God, this beacon isn't moving. And then all of a sudden the beacon moved. I was like, okay, maybe he had an incident and it got slowed down and it moved pretty far, but not. And then all the other beacons were way ahead of you. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope Yuri didn't get heat stroke. And then all of a sudden this image comes up on social media and I'm in the middle of dinner service. It's all of a sudden this picture comes up and you took second place.
Second place, yeah. I got second.
And I freaked out. I started screaming in the restaurant. I was like, holy shit, Yuri took second. And Tatiana texted me. She's like, oh my God, did you see this? And it was from afar, it's so rad to watch you do that because you and I had talked about that for months leading up to it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's you said you were going to do it. You had some trepidations about doing it.
For sure.
But you'd already done the 200. I know you can ride yourself into the ground. You have this pain threshold. You have the ability to shut your brain off. There's certain people that do, and there's certain people that don't.
Yeah.
And you accomplished something that, people dream about having that opportunity. And I think
thanks.
you managed to figure it out. You conquered your demons, and you did that. And I think, you set examples for all these kids now that you're working with, and Vanessa's working with in NICA, which is the high school mountain bike leagues that you're working with. And I think that makes these kids say, hey, look what's possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goals that, I think we all should have in life, whether it's riding a bike, cooking, whether it's, teaching somebody to drive a car, just teach them to be the best, lead by good examples.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you're working with NICA now still, right? You're helping out.
Sure. I help out, or NorCal, my wife's league, at the races, or, I go and speak to teams, talk about full circle stuff. I went and spoke to the San Rafael team because their coach is a guy I met 20 years ago before he had kids, before he was married, and who now has a son who's a freshman on the team. And that got him into coaching again. And he's like, will you come talk to our team? And so I went and talked to his team last week at their spin practice in San Rafael. So it's rad to see things come full circle, and it's truly awesome to be able to, hopefully impart some lessons to these kids and show them what's possible if they want to race or if they want to go into the industry, or just sort of give them some ideas of what they can do with their lives if they want to chase something like what I'm doing. So
let's talk a little bit about some of this new things that are coming up.
Sure.
What is your take on allowing big teams into all these events?
Yeah.
Look, I look at it from the point of when we were racing solo.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we started seeing big trucks show up, and it massive support, and Tinker showed up, and then Etos started dominating. Yep. And they had the support of, there was the monsters came in, and not that I discount them as individuals, but I think it took away something from those events in a little way. My concern with what's coming up with the change.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not racing for a living. I don't, I ride for fun. My race is to race myself, right? I'm racing my own inner demons. But I do see an issue with having a bus show up with an 8-man squad who can go ride the world tour.
Yeah.
And they're going to show up to DK this year?
A few of them will. I don't know if it's going to be an 8-man squad, but it could be a 4-man squad.
4-man squad. A 4-man World Tour squad equals an 8-man non-World Tour squad.
Possibly at least, right? Or a 12-man.
And so you've got that going on.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of those happening. And I think I understand why. I get it. It's diversification. It's branching into a new form of racing. But I feel that it's kind of, that's how gravel racing started, right? And
gravel was super grassrootsy.
Yeah, that's
so
what I mean.
It's changing now.
It's changing,
it's evolving.
going to that. It came from getting away from the big, and now it's going that direction. And I think that, I mean, it happened with 24 Hours. That's how 24 Hours started. Really grassroots, really fun, having a good time, and then it turned into monster. And you know, I'm sure people are gonna like call me an ass for saying it, but like, look. Should Taylor Phinney show up and race Dirty Kansas? Yes, he should. I think he will crush it as a rider. But I don't foresee him needing a 4-man squad to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. Like, if it was one rider from a team that showed up to do the event without assistance, I think that's way cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you know, so it's really hard to like look in the crystal ball and know how this is gonna unfold. But I will say that, you know, just in my 6 years of doing gravel, my first gravel race was in 2013. I've seen it begin to change, and you know, this road, you know, invasion or whatever you want to call it isn't, you know, totally new. It's been happening for the last few years. You know, you've seen. You know, they get a lot of shout outs because Villeneuve called them like the sky of gravel, but the Panaracer team brought a lot of road tactics and skin suits and road pedals and sort of changed the dynamic at the front end of things. And they brought a team. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, but so the road, you know, ethos or whatever has slowly been making its way into gravel, in my opinion. I mean, the year I defended my title, it was Ted King, who, you know, I wouldn't have beat Ted King, no way. But that year, you know, it forced me to raise my game. And I say this with all sincerity, it was really cool to know that, like, Ted King, a pro tour rider, we were like shoulder to shoulder racing together. And I said this to Joe Lindsay at Outside too, that, you know, there's no other sport in the world that I'm aware of where you and I could line up next to like a Jens Voigt or somebody and do the same course. So I think on that side, it possibly elevates the experience.
Ted's different. It's different with Ted because Ted's retired and Ted's not coming with a squad.
That's true.
That's what I mean. Like, Ted's doing this and it's a whole different thing. He's not, I mean, we're talking squads coming.
Got it. So then does that mean that the Dirty Kansas polices the Panaracer squad? You know who's been coming,
know, dude.
right? You know, like,
I'm just throwing out my 2 cents.
No, that's fine, and it's good to have this conversation because it's already being had and it's been written about, and we'll see how it plays out. And who knows if, you know, the 4-man squads or the 3-man squads that are showing up. I mean, I know Volo, because we sponsor them, is going to be having a few riders show up at DK this year. So we'll see what happens. But I think it raises everyone's game. You know, the promoters now have more eyes on them, so they want to do a good job. The everyday riders get to maybe line up and have an experience with these pro tour folks.
No, I love that part of it.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think it's going to change the dynamic at the front end, dude. So for like the top 5% of folks, right,
which
or
I'll
whatever,
never be.
I'm not going to be there again either, right? It's going to change that dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, okay, so aero bars?
Not for me.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're dangerous.
Yep,
I mean,
not for
especially
me.
in a gravel environment.
Yeah.
To me,
you should ask Jeff Kabush.
Why?
Well, we should get Jeff Kabush on here. He has some
I'd love to.
I can help that, but he has some distinct thoughts about aero bars and gravel. I mean, there was a whole thing that was covered on Velo News last year about Jeff's view of aero bars and gravel. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
You'll need to talk to Jeff.
He's super cool. I got to meet him at the ride that was for the high school mountain bike event.
Yeah.
So that was super cool being able to catch up with him. And so events this year, let's talk about what you've got coming up, because I know you've got a lot on your calendar, and I think you and I are going to be crossing paths doing a lot of fun events together.
Let's hope so. We better be.
We've got a lot of similar support, which has been great.
Yeah.
And Unfortunately, I can't do
The Bantam?
I can't do the Bantam.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I'm doing a charity dinner
That's super important.
and for the James Beard Foundation to help put some kids through culinary school.
Oh, dude,
So-
super important. Yeah,
Kids are
all good.
that's
Well,
where-
then the next weekend is Campovello after Bantam. But first up for me is this weekend is the new Grasshopper Low Gap up out of Ukiah, and then I'll head to Stillwater, Oklahoma in early February for a cancer fundraising ride with the people who put on Land Run from District Bicycles.
Oh, nice.
One of their friends is dealing with brain cancer, and so I decided to forego going to the Rock Cobbler and heading out to Stillwater to help support that ride. I think the next Grasshopper in February, I forget which one that is. I'll be doing that.
Is
and
that
then
Stillwater?
maybe,
I think it's
Super Stillwater or something like that. And then I'll be doing a couple camps, one with the USMES. I'll ride a day with the Volo team. I go to Kansas for a camp in April, and then it's Sea Otter. So yeah, just busy. I'll be in Iceland in July for a new race that's happening with one of my sponsors, Lauf. In June, I do Kansas, and then 2 back-to-back weekends of gravel camp with the Queen of Pain, Rebecca Rush. So I'll be in Ketchum, which will be rad. And then I'm going to be doing the new gravel, the Oregon Trail gravel stage race put on by Chad Sperry. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I was so close to wanting to do that.
You should do it, but it's 5 days. It's a big commitment.
That's going to go over like a fart in church in my house.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to that.
That one looked really cool.
Yes.
I was checking that out. And are you doing Steamboat?
Yes.
I'm doing that one.
I'm doing yes. Yeah, and you're going to be staying with us in Kansas because, as I said earlier, you're going to be doing Kansas because I have an entry for you. So, yeah, right? There you go. You're cooking one night for us in exchange for the entry. So, yeah, there we go. It's been said. Yeah.
It's like it's so funny. Terry's coming, right? He wants to come out, but he's like, he goes, I'm not racing. He goes, I'll stand on the side and give you stuff.
Yeah, you need a good SAG person for sure.
But there's no way in hell I'm racing.
Your support is key. But yeah, we'll do a whole bunch of rides before it, and he'll get to ride a bunch out there and experience Kansas. So yeah, busy year. I'll do the Pavlov ride again, cancer fundraising ride in October.
Yep.
Working on something with my wife with the NorCal League and MCBC in September, a little gravel ride. So yeah, it's awesome because my job literally revolves around bikes and riding bikes and doing industry stuff and working with cool athletes and industry folks and hanging out with, famous people like you.
I'm not famous. I'm a glorified dishwasher, dude. Get over it.
That's what I've heard.
So let's I got a couple, I do a bunch of questions that I ask all the time.
Yes.
So mostly it's food.
Oh, well, mine will probably be pretty simple answers then.
Okay. But no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, you dig it, right? Yeah. So, I kind of break it down like pasta or risotto.
Pasta.
White truffle, black truffle.
Oh, man, I don't even know if I'm refined enough to say I know the difference between the two, bro, or if I've had either. So
one's white. And
yes,
one's
I got it. I'm sure they both taste great. There's a non-answer for you.
Sea urchin or no?
Oh, no way. No way. No.
Nuh-uh.
No, I'm not like an adventurous seafood guy. No way.
Do you eat sushi?
I do.
Okay.
But I'm pretty limited to what I will try.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, no urchin for this guy.
So you're born and raised Petaluma?
I was born in L.A., but we moved to Petaluma when I was 4, and so I consider Petaluma my home.
Yep. You're as NorCal as it gets.
I'm as NorCal as it gets, for sure. Yep.
Definitely. Oh, my God. So.
Yes.
Pork or beef?
Beef.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm, and we used to, cull a cow, every year that would go in the freezer for the year. So I like beef. I grew up on beef. Eat more beef.
Comedy, sci-fi?
Comedy for sure.
You never know.
Never know, but comedy for sure. I mean, I like Star Wars and stuff, but I'd rather laugh,
That's So with all this, you spend quite a bit of time not only working with training and educating the younger generation how to ride and be healthy. You work with athletes on their diets and help people get to the next level. But you spend a lot of time on cancer awareness, cancer charities. I mean, you've done Pavlov how many times?
I've done it 5 times, I think. 4 times. This coming year will be my 5th. Yep. And for those that don't know, Pavlov is a foundation, pediatric cancer foundation, founded by Jeff and Joanne, who lost their son Pablo at the age of 6 years old to a form of cancer. And so the name Pavlov comes from Pablo's name, and they are granting small seed grants to these sort of maverick doctors that are working on treatments that won't necessarily get the mainstream funding from the typical funding system. So the Pavlov is funding these cutting edge approaches and making huge gains. And it's awesome. And I have, like most folks, a connection to cancer. I lost my father 14 years ago to cancer. My wife is a stage 4 colon cancer survivor. So I've had a fair amount of experience with cancer, as you probably have too. Yep.
I think it affects everybody. And I think, everybody picks there's always something that somebody puts all their eggs in the basket. It's like, and you've found, what means the most to you, and you address it every day.
Well, it obviously hits a couple chords with me. I mean, my connection to cancer with my wife and my father, riding a bike, something I'm passionate about, and then kids. At the end of the day, it's about the kids. And the year we finished at the hospital in Los Angeles downtown, we finished at the pediatric cancer ward, where the kids would get to spend a few hours of their day with their parents outside of their rooms. And it was just like a super powerful, really sad moment, but also uplifting, just knowing that we had just pedaled almost 600 miles and had raised, I forget that year, maybe almost $800,000 to try to help these kids have the best possible experience, so anyway, yeah,
it takes a lot to be able to give back, and I think it's learning how to give back.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, you're setting that example for the next generation of kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche, but the more you give, the more you get back. I mean, I know Rebecca talks about that too, Rebecca Rush, but it really is true. I feel like the more that we can be generous with our time and help, and whether it's financial or food or whatever it is, that'll come back, the whole idea of karma and stuff, I feel like that's sort of what's helped me be where I am right now in my life and with my job and being able to do what I love to do. So
I mean, we'll veer a little bit into Rebecca
Rush. Yes, Rebecca Rush, the Queen of Pain.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Amazing woman.
I remember watching her when she was doing all the eco challenges.
Yeah.
She was pretty much the glue that held that team together. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest. I mean, not that those dudes were weak by any means, but she's a monster.
Oh yeah.
I've never met anybody like her.
I have no doubt she was kicking those dudes in the nuts. No doubt.
I mean,
in a good way.
She is the most positive and firm at the same time person.
Yeah.
She calls it like she sees it.
Yeah.
She wants it to be right, but at the same time, she's going to push you to the limits.
Yeah, for sure.
And I totally have the utmost respect. And I mean, you do the gravel camps with her.
Yep. Yeah.
You guys are both riding on Niner together.
Correct.
And I think that there's so much interesting crossover between the 24 to the ultra stuff. I mean, you guys are doing a lot of the similar big monster events.
Yeah, it's been a really cool evolution or maturation or whatever you want to call it of our relationship, as competitors, as friends, as sponsor and athlete, also as athletes. We have a lot of, overlap. And I love to share the story that it was like a cup of soup at a race that cemented our friendship. I obviously knew who Reba was, but I was doing a race in Tennessee, a 12-hour race called, I'm I forget what it was, but I got heat stroke and had just puked my guts out, and it was pre getting fluids. She brought over a cup of soup because we were pitted next to each other, and that's sort of what kicked off our friendship. We had known of each other before that, but anyway, she's just really generous with her time and her knowledge, and she's super inspiring, and so it's fun getting to work with her, race with her, ride with her, support her camps. So
yeah, I mean, this year, we both just did this past year in September.
The RPI stage
we
race.
just did RPI stage race, which talk about an incredible event.
Yeah,
so well done. Yeah, so much fun.
Yeah, sign up if you haven't, folks. Go do the Rebecca's Private Idaho stage race. 3 days of riding out of Ketchum. Like, it's all based out of there. It's a great weekend.
Totally different than any type of event I've ever done, and I loved the fun element of it. Each day. Day one alone was just racing. It was kind of like what we did today. That single track riding.
Up at Galena Lodge. Yeah,
oh,
single track on your gravel bike. It's super fun. Creek crossing, stuff like that. Yeah,
it was really funny to see a lot of the roadies try to do that.
Yeah. That's just one aspect of Rebecca's, future career. She's also an author, and she had Blood Road, and she coaches, and she still races, and she's a Red Bull athlete. She brings so much to the table. So it's been really fun working with her and being friends with her, because, I'm also her sponsor too,
yes, that's right.
From GOO,
yeah.
But we also share a lot of sponsors and do things together. So there's just a lot of synergy there for sure.
That makes it a lot more fun.
It does.
And I think that's what the best part is like when you get to do things with your friends.
Yeah, and have fun. Has to be fun. There's
got to be certain buckets that are ticked off, right?
Yeah.
You can't always just do the same. You can't just be, we're going to do it to do it.
Yeah.
Are there people that inspire you every day, like in whether it be cycling or artist or a writer?
Yeah, I gather lots of bits of inspiration from different threads, I think, of my life. Like now that I'm dealing with all of our elite athletes, spending time with folks like, Rob Crar and Jeff Browning. These are ultra runners, the top of their game, working with like Marinda Carfrey and spending time with them. They inspire me sort of like on the athletic, like push your mental limit side. As far as like reading lately, I just finished Alex Hutchinson's Endure, which is about sort of the human limits, and maybe that the brain is sort of the final barrier that's limiting, like your full physical capabilities. And this whole idea of believing in yourself, that's something I've been sort of preaching lately. I gather inspiration from my wife, because of what she's had to go through and the positive attitude that she brings to life. And,
for those of you who have not met Vanessa, she's fucking rad. She's so rad. Like I've been at an event suffering beyond all human recognition, and all of a sudden I hear Vanessa's voice yelling at me, "Go, chef!" I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah,
in the middle of the woods, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how did you get out there? And she's smiling on the side with her bike. She rode out there to cheer everybody on.
Yeah,
and that's a perfect example of Vanessa.
Yeah, she brings a lot of energy and just brightness and joy and happiness and zest for life to every situation. So that's super inspiring. I've also had the awesome opportunity to work with a lot of, like female high powered athletes, which are super inspiring too, especially in like this whole Me Too weirdness that we're in right now.
It's not weirdness. It's just a very basic thing. It's called keep your hands to yourself.
Exactly. Keep your hands to yourself. But like,
it's not hard to be a nice human.
Yeah.
Treat people with respect. I don't care what color, race, creed, who you choose to sleep with, whatever. Just be kind.
Yeah. Just be kind.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Where did that get lost?
I have no idea.
There's a show called Yo Gabba Gabba. They actually sing a song about it.
Oh, really?
Keep your hands to yourself. That's literally the name of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, some things have been lost definitely in this day and age, unfortunately. But those are some of the different strands that I draw inspiration from, like kids that I work with. There's just lots of different areas that I get inspired from. I like to have fun if I can help it, and make sure that others have fun, and
It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's hard. Life's hard. There's nothing to really, I mean, could everybody complain every day?
Could.
We all could. But to be honest, we're all really lucky.
Yeah.
I keep saying that to myself. You know, the day where I think it's really hard, I get up in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's going to be really rough today. It's not that rough.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Nobody wants to hear us complain.
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky.
Yeah, we are.
You know, we work hard. We choose to make the decisions we've made put us where we are. And we've made those with a smile on our face. And I think we made those, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, to where we are now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel super blessed to be in my position because I have a really unique job. Most folks think I don't have a job because I spend, a lot of time on my bike, but that's actually part of my job.
That's a big part of your job.
It's a big part of my job. But I don't fall into the typical silo of your standard corporate job descriptions or being behind a desk and stuff like that. And, I don't know what to attribute that to. Some of it is just dumb luck, but, some of it is timing. Some of it is being kind, being a good person, following through on what you say you're going to do. I mean, just some of the simple, basic things, I think.
Like please and thank you.
Like please and thank you. Yeah, So yeah, it's awesome. I'm stoked, and I don't plan on slowing down for a while. I have some extended sponsor, obligations, which is great into 2020. So it's all good, man.
That's the way. I mean,
yeah,
it's all got to be fun.
Yeah,
we get to ride our bikes. We get to make people smile. You're helping people. I mean, that's what it's all about.
And you're helping people too, though. Like food, you're nourishing folks in multiple ways, and you do all these other charity things. So yeah, it's good. Like we said earlier, the more you give, the more you get eventually.
I think that is a very true thing. But what I think people don't realize when you say that, and I'm hoping people do understand what you really mean when you say that.
Yeah.
When you're giving, you're getting something, and it's not monetary.
Yep. Exactly.
And I hope people learn and think about it in that way. I choose to do things because it makes me feel good. And sometimes that's what you need to get over the hump in life.
Yeah.
Like I've made decisions to do things that are harder because I know it's going to give back and it's better for the environment, or it's a better choice for the business.
Yeah.
That's hard on me, but it's better for everything else going on around it. We make those good decisions to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I'm cool with that decision. Yeah. I'm cool with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and you go, ugh, you've made some bad decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, look, I know you've got to go to the dentist.
I do. I'm going to see the fastest dentist west of the Mississippi, Roger Bartels, longtime friend.
Oh my God.
He is. He is.
You are hysterical.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. So yeah, he takes care of me. Thanks, Raji.
You're such a dork. Plugging your dentist.
Hey, why not?
He's not going to give you a free cleaning. You're going to come out with yellow teeth now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being here with me. I appreciate it. Let's, hey, by the way, we both have matching green Vans on.
Yes.
Pretty rad.
Yeah.
Let's do some more rides.
For sure.
And keep the rubber side down.
Yeah, Campo Velo, folks. If you haven't signed up, come do Campo Velo.
Campo Velo will be
last weekend of April.
Super fun, 3 days. We will have the Little Five coming back again.
Oh, yeah.
Little Five. So we're going to be at the Calistoga Speedway, which is a dirt track. You get a one-speed flat pedal bike, just like in the movie Breaking Away. Yeah. You have a four-man team. You do have to do the proper dismount and remount within the space allotted. Yep.
There was a lot of carnage in that zone last year, dude.
Amazing. The video is coming out.
Yeah, I've seen a couple little snippets, but there's some good carnage in the transition.
The transition is epic, but it is a quarter-mile lap, and you are full gas.
It hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts hard. Yeah. Like, everybody was dying on that one. I
hurts.
Don't care how good you think you are, how strong you are. And then we all got crushed by a bunch of high school kids.
Truth.
That was
#truth. Yep.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. And they were wearing
Hawaiian shirts.
Hawaiian shirts, motorcycle helmets, full face helmets.
That's the best.
It was pretty demoralizing, but pretty rad to show you what is coming, like what the next generation is bringing.
Yeah, totally.
Super fun. So you guys, hopefully we'll see a bunch of you there with us. Yuri's going to be leading a ride. We've got a bunch of other fun stuff happening, but you want to give a shout out to any of your sponsors, Yuri, while you're on the horn?
Man, you just put me on the spot.
I know I did. If you can't remember, you do have a shirt on that says one of them.
It says Niner. Yeah. No, I would just, give a general shout out to all my sponsors for letting me do what I do and supporting me for all these years. And we'll see what happens this season. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yuri, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and thanks for a great ride this morning.
Thanks, Chris. It was an honor.
Cheers.